First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here. It was awesome to have all of you all just jump right in and say, sure, we'll do this. Um, National Co-Housing Day, happy National Co-Housing Day. I wanted to just kick things off by asking you all, tell me a little bit about why you chose co-housing for your family or for yourself.
Are we the only ones still? The only perspective or people that aren't residents?
Yep.
Yes.
But it's being recorded so other people can
great.
later.
Great.
Yeah, I'll have it available for anyone thinking about living here.
I can go. It's Kathy. Hi.
For everyone.
I saw like that. It was like PBS documentary on co-housing, like that was made 10 or 15 years ago, and talked about the origin. Is it from Denmark? Is that right? And it was like I'd seen that, so it was in my head. And then when we were moving to this area, I noticed that there were several of these communities sprinkled around town. And so I was curious, and I took my mom and we like walked through some of the neighborhoods. I didn't think my husband would be into it because he's kind of an independent personality, but we also rented for a year, and then we just loved it. We were like, oh, we have instant community, multi-generational, like just so many interesting personalities. And we bought a house here, so yeah.
Catherine, you bring up an important detail, which is there's often couples that one person's all in and the other person's a little unsure about it. How was the adjustment for your husband?
I think it's great. He's a very social person. He's an extrovert and I'm more of an introvert. And I think it's been really great for him because he's able to flex his extrovert skills, around the neighborhood. So, and he works at home. We both work at home. And so it's a nice social outlet, I think, because usually like you meet people in the office, and since we're new to town, we don't have that. So.
Sure.
But it's been really
great.
Anyone
else experienced that where there was a difference between the two of you of your level of enthusiasm about co-housing to start with?
Well, my husband and I are definitely opposites when it comes to the extrovert-introvert spectrum. I'm the extrovert of the partnership. But we haven't had any difficulty with that. We originally got here because my mom and her husband built a house here, and we felt like it was the ideal place to raise our kids. Now, of course, we're leaving at least temporarily, but it has been really a wonderful place to have children. I think that they have a lot more variety in activities, and I do like the intergenerational aspect that we can go to community meals and they know all of their neighbors, old, young, and otherwise. So it's been great for that aspect.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about the community meals. That's a big plus, I think, for the neighborhood.
Well, we have on Tuesday night what we call Cantina Night, where people volunteer to cook a meal for the community, and there's people sign up to come, and then you pay $4, $5, $6 for your meal. It's always something pretty simple, tacos or whatever, but it's a lot of fun. You get to spend time, with your neighbors and talking to them. And then there used to be a group of people that would get together on Sundays and cook together. And sometimes on Sundays there'll be a potluck at the common house. And then on holiday, like Memorial Day, July 4th, and that kind of stuff, we have a grill up at the common house, and everybody brings what they want to cook, and we just have a cookout on those days.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it really is nice.
That's great.
I think anybody who lives here would tell you that the nicest thing about it is, all your neighbors, their kids, their dogs and their cats, like everybody's been looking for Bacon, the cat, for the last day or so.
Yep.
Aw.
And so it gives you a real feeling of being home and being secure, and people help each other out in times of trouble. I mean, one of our neighbors is buying groceries for us, has been for weeks now, and doesn't even want to be thanked.
Mhm.
Wow.
People helped out when Cheryl had a broken hip, they cooked for us and that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm just really grateful to be living here. Plus, it's like living in a park. I mean, Solterra is different from a lot of co-housing. The houses are not clustered together, and there's quite a bit of open space. I think we have like 9 acres of meadows, and then we have the garden and the dog park. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. It all depends on the people living here, but we've got a great group of people living here now. And we've had some people in the past who were, determined to throw a spanner into the works, as they say. But they're gone, and we're doing just great.
So tell us a little bit about the community decision-making process when choices have to be made for the community as a whole. How does that process work?
I wonder if SK would answer that one.
Sure, Nathan.
I was thinking you would, Nate.
All right, I'm happy to do it too. Yeah. So SK and I are both on, and Kathy too, a little bit, are on the facilitation team, which basically helps with our community meetings and facilitating discussions. So we have what's called a consensus decision-making process, where we discuss different topics that are relevant to our community, and kind of develop and see what consensus is coming about in the group. And it's an ongoing process of learning what that looks like and how to navigate that. But basically, that means that as a community, we make decisions that are pretty much unanimous. And that's, as you can imagine, a kind of a long process sometimes, but we take our time so that everybody can kind of get to the same place and arrive at a decision. So aside from the consensus making, I think you could describe our community as a really active HOA in some ways, and we have different committees on that do everything from community life to common lands to the garden to this facilitation committee. There's a care team committee. So and everybody that gets a chance to cycle in and off of those committees, and you don't have to be on one, but those who want to can participate. So it's all voluntary. There's other co-housing communities that things aren't always voluntary, or if you miss something, you have to pay a penalty or whatever. Ours is all participation is completely voluntary. So
That's an important difference, because there may be some people that just don't want to do committees, or they're doing a lot of committees outside of the neighborhood in one fashion or another. So
yeah, and some, we have work days where we work, we do projects. We don't call them work days anymore. Sorry, they're called spruce up days.
I love
And sometimes if you're not available to do that, or if you're just physically not able, there's other ways you can pitch in, and that everyone just kind of keeps track of their own participation.
Sounds like many hands make light work kind of philosophy in action.
Yeah.
You can see that in the garden. The garden's looking really great this year. Yeah.
I'm happy to walk out across the street if anybody needs to see it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome, Katie.
I'll make my way.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to walk kind of backwards when I get out there, but.
Okay, and I wanted
Are you
to
on a
give
laptop or phone, Katie?
I'm on a laptop, yeah, so I can't turn it around, but I guess I
I
could.
wonder if your connection will drop if you're on your phone.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Shoot. Yeah, our internet does not go that far. I can get on my phone too, though.
It's
Cool.
okay. I am planning later on today after the virtual open house that we're having. I'm planning on walking around the community with my phone and doing a video recording. And so I'll be going to the common house and the garden and the playgrounds. So I'll be putting that on YouTube while we have the house for sale here at Moon Valley, Carrie and Kip's house. So
I wanted to say too, just while Buck was talking about being in the woods, that was something that really was appealing to us. I mean, we lived in South Durham before we moved here, and we thought, man, this is very convenient. It's great, but we didn't really. We tried to get to know our neighbors, and it was always an uphill battle kind of thing. And the last straw for us was like 2 of the folks that we had gotten to know moved away, and we were like, oh man, like. And long story short, we ended up coming here, and it's been amazing to be literally in the forest. I mean, I can run out my backyard, cross the meadow, go into the woods, and continue on into Duke Forest, and basically go forever, running or hiking or whatever. And it's so beautiful. And at night, we've been intentional about keeping our lighting not super bright, so it's like you can see the stars and you get a feeling like you're really in nature. It's quiet.
that is fantastic. Would anyone else like to comment about how you all are situated next to a number of different key places just outside the boundaries of the neighborhood?
I could say I can piggyback on Nathan, and in regard to a couple of things. One of them is just the whole idea of like when we were thinking about moving to the area, we had lived out west in the Rocky Mountains of the United States, and we're used to like being in the national forest on a regular basis. So when we were flying over, I remember seeing this triangle area that was lots and lots of woods. And I said, I think that's where I'm like, well, if we end up getting a job here, that's where I want to live. And that's sort of where Solterra is right in the middle of this just great, like lots of Duke Forest. We actually border the Hollerich Nature Park, and it's shifted its name. It's a nature preserve. It's really low. The focus is not what you would think of as like a community park in regards to like swings and gym set or anything like that. It's just lots of really natural trails through this beautiful, beautiful woods. It goes down to the New Hood Creek, and they have, it's a place where you can swim, and there's a rock you can jump off of. And it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And like Nathan said, you can leave here and just take off on the trails and go for hours. So it's really beautiful. It's a really special place to be.
It is one of the nice things about the triangle is you can have places where you really are buried deep into the forest, and yet you're right in town too. It's a treat that we have, and I hope it'll always be preserved. Hollow Rock Swim and Racket Club, you can walk to very easily. And Forest View Elementary, just across the street with a little trail to get up to it. The CSA, is it Weaver Acres?
That's right.
Just across the street. Has anyone been using that and buying produce there?
I heard our next door neighbor just joined the CSA there. But yeah, it is very convenient here, even though it does feel like you're a little bit in the woods and removed from things, but it's only, a 3-minute drive across 15501 to civilization.
Yeah.
We thought we would live downtown when we moved here, but it is just so peaceful. That's hard to give up once you experience it. So.
And you said 3, not 30. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I think it's like 10 minutes down to Duke and Durham and 10 to 15 minutes to Chapel Hill. So it's really conveniently located.
Is there anything about
to Hillsborough, I think. Like
yeah, it's not hard at all to get to Hillsborough. So is there anything about Solterra in particular? There's quite a few co-housing communities in the Triangle, and we have a couple of them forming now. So what would you all say that's kind of specific and special to Solterra as a co-housing community?
I think Nate mentioned it before. The physical layout of Solterra is a little bit different than a lot of co-housing communities where the houses here don't all look the same and there's some level of individuality. But co-housing does mean that you have a little bit more interdependence and respect for your neighbors when you're making decisions. So that's something to keep in mind. Like if you live in a traditional neighborhood and you make a decision, it's just about your family. But sometimes here, you have to reach out and kind of take the temperature with other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there is a little bit maybe more individuality, artistic feeling to Solterra neighborhood compared to some of the other co-housing neighborhoods. Not to say that people aren't there aren't individuals and artistic, but just there's that vibe here, I think, of uniqueness. Yeah.
Sure.
I would add location. By the way, hi Joellen.
Hey, how are you, SJ?
Joellen sold our old house, so thank you for that.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the location, we're like right in town. I think a lot of the other communities are, the forming ones, some of them are rural. So it's just kind of different. We're right in the middle of things here. And this community, I would say, is also a bit more flexible when it comes to co-housing. Nate, I think, mentioned that in some communities, you don't have a choice to do certain things. Or, yeah, you're on the hook to cook this many meals a year. And so we are a little bit more flexible. So, yeah.
And the houses here are, you have your own, you own your own land, your own lot, and most of the houses are separate, detached, single-family homes, right?
Yes, all but two, I believe.
So there's two, what, duplexes here?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Well, that's an important, you know, if someone loves co-housing, but they also kind of want to have their, within their own four walls, that's good too. You've got both options.
It's really a paradise for kids, I have to say. Like, we lived on a really busy street before in a town, and just we couldn't let our kid out, you know, in our front yard pretty much because we had industrial trucks running down the road. And here it was just like a sigh of relief. You have all your neighbors that know the kids and have relationships with them, and we, you know, trust them, and they're always kind of watching out for the kids. So if they see that they're doing something risky or they notice things going on, that they let us know. So it's a comfortable feeling that they can go play in the upper meadow, which is surrounded by the houses, you know, or the lower meadow. So there's like common space that we share. That's really nice.
So I think you were describing that, like there's this horseshoe where the cars are funneled on the outer rim of the neighborhood, and all of the homes are situated in a way that kind of invites people to the inner core of the neighborhood, up in the upper meadow and the playground area. So they're not running between cars to hang out together.
That's right.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. The neat design.
Another thing that seems unique to me, there are several families who were the younger folks have located here, and then the grandparents follow behind. And I haven't counted them, but there are several families like that, and it's really wonderful. It just,
That's fantastic.
yeah,
Multi-generational.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well,
Hey,
I
folks,
want
sorry, I'm
to.
gonna have to jump off, but I'm glad to be able to participate. And if any folks watching this have any questions about moving to Solterra, feel free to reach out to me or anybody on here.
How can they reach you?
Well, that's a great question. I could put, there is an info there is a gatekeeper, kind of an outside gatekeeper email person. Who is that right now? SK, I forget.
And
Brand?
yeah.
Okay. And it's just info@solterra.net.
Okay.
So yeah.
There's
Fantastic.
also the website as well,
Website too, yeah.
which is solterra.net that you could jump on.
Yeah.
Take a look at the pictures, get a feel.
I would say just stop by, but during these times, that's not
Yeah.
the best idea. Come to
Yeah.
someone's house, but yeah, normally we'd say come on by or come to Cantina night on Tuesday, and we'd welcome you and could see it for yourself.
Well, thanks all of you for taking time to do sort of a Sunday Cantina online, virtually. I appreciate it very much, and thanks for sharing your thoughts about Solterra and why you love living there.
Thanks for your interest.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, really appreciate it very, very much. Thanks for your time.
Good luck with your move from Maine.
See you soon, guys.
Thank you.
I look forward to meeting you.
All here.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you.
Yeah.
Stay well.
You too.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
You too. Everyone stay safe.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye.